Right now we're in the blast zone. Over here you can see some of the reservoir on that side of the road. And it's also on the other side of the road. It's hard to see in the foliage, so we better just film on that side. Now go back to the front now. You can see the railroad crossing sign. And the railroad bridge is just over to the left in the trees. Yeah, we're definitely right here crossing the tracks where one of these trains should hit a truck, bus, something that would make it, have an explosion. So this road that we're going to turn onto goes through several different towns within 2, 3, 4 blocks of the railroad line for miles. This is Bergenfield's main street within the blast zone of the railroad tracks, which are a block and a half to the right. Here's the movie theater as an example. A lot of businesses along here.
There's the train tracks down there.
Particularly when we get to the next intersection where there's also a school close to the railroad tracks.
The Baby and I.
Yeah.
Fresco fried chicken. Beauty salon. Physical therapy. Yeah, that's definitely something.
How about hysterical therapy?
School.
Film now.
We're filming.
Okay. So the Hudson River is just on the other side of this bridge, straight down. Ladies, excuse us.
So over there is the Hudson.
Yeah, this is Englewood Cliffs. This is the Palisades Interstate Parkway, which, should there be an explosion from a barge on the river, potentially could start a fire, amongst the foliage. The George Washington Bridge is about a mile up this way. One of those bridges were to explode underneath the bridge, end of that passageway to not only New York City, but to New England, between New England and south through New Jersey. And the oil barges go under a number of major bridges as they go up and down the river to Albany, Tappan Zee being one of them, Route 287 Interstate Highway Bridge, Bear Mountain Bridge, yeah. Right. And the New York Thruway Bridge to New England, south of Albany.
Yeah, giant church here within the blast zone.
Now, I think St. Peter's College.
It's a college, so no church.
Well, it's a combination. It's a religious retreat for a Catholic group of nuns. And part of this, now it's hard to tell because this is a branch campus. But part of it is St. Peter's University.
Welcome to St. Peter's University. We're going to have an official welcome. I know you've taken time to see the barge over here. That might be one of the barges that carries oil, back in crude oil. We'll talk about that later. I want to bring here Sister Sheila from Sisters of St. Joseph's of Peace, who have welcomed us. to their campus.
It's a real honor to have you here with us. And on behalf of the sisters and associates of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Peace, we very much... how's the mic? How's the mic? I don't know. Give me the banana. Thank you. Here we go. Thank you. We hold very dear the value of water in our lives, and all of the initiatives that you are doing are very close to our hearts. So I would like to begin right here. Yes. Kiss the mic. Kiss the mic. I would like to start with a prayer. I'm very aware of those of you who are really have been for hours on your caravan, and what a witness that is. And that's why we're here now, in a sense, to really internalize all that has happened and all that we are about. So let us pray. O Holy One of blessing, we gather this afternoon in gratitude for your magnificent gifts of nature and for our common home, Earth. We gather to celebrate that water is life, a bountiful gift of your hands. We gather in unity with many environmental groups to ensure that our natural resources are protected from corporate greed and misuse. We gather to witness to our opposition to the Pilgrim Pipeline through native lands. We gather to witness to our opposition to the bomb train over reservoirs holding our drinking water. We gather to witness our opposition to oil barges trafficking the Hudson. And so, Creator God, be with us, your people, today, that our courage will not wane, that our conviction of the dignity of all creation will endure, and that people of goodwill will step forward and join us, join the ranks of those who oppose the misuse of our lands and water. Amen.
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 4 years ago, there was the terrible tragedy in Lamagantic, a town like any of the towns we drove through. On the caravan, Bergenfield, Teaneck, Dumont, just a small town with people doing their thing. And when that train derailed, really due to negligence by the rail companies and the government that lacks regulations, 47 people were killed instantly. 16 children were left orphans, losing one or both parents. There have been 2 people who died by suicide. One, a young man who pulled his ex-girlfriend from the fire, and the other part of the band that was playing, a musician from the band. He had gone out to have a cigarette. He was spared, and his very close friend was killed. And he survived the tragedy, but he's lived through, and people of Lamagantic have lived through an ongoing tragedy. He died by suicide. We're going to read the names of those 47 people who died during that derailment in Lamagantic. And as we do that, we will pledge, all of us, I'm sure, will pledge to fight against the use of fossil fuels and for a world with renewable energy.
Monsieur Jacques Giroux, age 65. Madame Denise Dubois, age 57. Madame Marie-France Boulet, age 62. Monsieur Richard Veilleux, age 63. Madame Louisette Poirier, age 76. Monsieur Wilfred Ratch, age 77. Bianca Charest Benioche, age 9. Madame Eliane Parenteau, age 93. Monsieur Frédéric Boutin, age 19. Madame Cathy Cluzot, age 24. Madame Elodie Turcotte, age 18. Monsieur Yannick Bouchard, age 36. Madame Karine Lafontaine, age 35. Monsieur Maxime Dubois, age 27. Madame Melissa Roy, age 29.
Monsieur Yves Boulet, age 51. Madame Karine Champagne, age 36. Monsieur Gaëtan Lafontaine, age 33. Madame Joanie Tournel, age 29. Monsieur Roger Paquette, age 61. Madame Joanie Lapointe, age 20. Monsieur Guy Bolduc, age 43. Madame Andréanne Savigny, age 26. Madame Diane Dizier, age 46. Monsieur David Lacroix-Baudouin, age 27. Monsieur Stéphane Bauduc, age 37. Madame Marianne Poulain, age 23. Madame Geneviève Breton, age 28. Monsieur Mathieu Pelletier, age 29. Madame Sylvie Charon, 50. Madame Henriette Latulipe, 61. Monsieur David Martin, 36. Monsieur Jean-Pierre Roy, 56. Monsieur Eric Pepin La Jeunesse, 28. Madame Alitha Koumi Egnoch, 30. Monsieur Stéphane Lapierre, 45. Madame Marie-Noëlle Fauché, 36. Monsieur Martin Rodrigue, 48. Monsieur Raël Cusco, 57. Madame Marie Semini Alliance, 22. And two small children, Alyssa Charette Egnoche, 4. And Monsieur Jimmy Surroy, 3.
I'm just going to be brief in saying a couple of things that I guess I was sharing in my own head as I thought about this day and I thought about the caravan. First of all, a lot of the work of Water Spirit is done at the Jersey Shore area. And I want you to know, which many of you probably do, that there are groups down there that are arising and making differences in things like pipes in the pinelands, things like drilling in the ocean, things like the pollution in the Navesink River and the rivers because the infrastructure is old and cracked. These are the kinds, does that sound familiar?
Yep.
Yep. We're together in this. I'm just trying to say there's a bigger group here. And then I thought, you know, this is very special place, very special land, very special view of the magnificent Hudson River for those of us who've spent much time at St. Peter's, but mainly at the St. Michael's, which is our home base, the Sisters of St. Joseph of Peace. And I just want to share a little bit of my personal experience because I think it kind of cements that idea that we're in this together. It was about maybe, I'm not sure, somewhere between 15 and 20 years ago that I and Sister Miriam McGillis, are you familiar with Genesis Farm?
Oh, very well.
Very well. We did what I guess you could look upon as a pilgrimage on both sides of New Jersey, a pilgrimage along the Delaware River and a pilgrimage along the Hudson River. And what we were doing, and we did the homework, she did a lot of it, the homework looking at some of the historical facts, of which we have many along this river, but also the environmental issues that have popped up over the years. And what we did was we traveled down the river. No, we didn't hike. We drove, but it was still good. We traveled down the river and we stopped at these places and spent time learning about them, hearing about them, and kind of understanding the connection with the river. And I remember one afternoon, it was in July, and it was hot, but there was this family on this point that we were having lunch at. We were sitting on the ground having lunch, and this family came to do some fishing. And I remember, now again, we're talking about maybe 20 years ago. I remember we were watching them fish, and the father got a real good catch, and he pulled it up, and it was a fish that had one eye, and the other one was sort of just the indentation, but it really wasn't an eye, and a fish that was covered with scabs. It was quite a horrible experience. Of course, the father threw the fish back. He says, well, you know, we never eat any of this fish anyhow. It was a dramatic moment to really recognize how horrible it is for our waters to be contaminated. The Hudson River, just a couple of remarks which I think are particularly important for us. The Hudson River has gone through a very hard time. You go back to the 20 years ago. This was south of Albany where this happened. If we were to do that today, we would not get a fish that looked like that. But you know what? We still wouldn't eat that fish. Okay? It might look like a very healthy fish, but we would not eat it. Truth of the matter is the Hudson River is still 60% fund site. What is the word? Superfund site. That's amazing. It has a lot to do with what has happened in terms of people and the river and what we're beginning to realize right now. It's gone through the whole process. We went all the way back to the beginning when the pollution of the river was coming mainly from paper plants, industry that was just shooting their leftover stuff into the river. Okay, but it moved into other areas. It moved into the one that really, to this day, is a tremendous challenge to those of us who love the river, and it really was the PCBs of General Electric. Okay, where they're still dredging. I checked and I said, I wonder where all that is. And actually, General Electric has done phase 1, but not quite enough. Not quite enough. And then we come to the barges. And what is so clear is that all the effort and all the work that has gone on to do something about the river could really turn it upside down if these 43 barges with oil that could fill 6 Olympic-sized pools were to have some kind of an error, or to have a mistake, or to have an accident. That would be huge. That would be as huge as the PCBs, because it would be such a contamination on this river that always is doing the struggling. Okay, that's the downer. This is what I think is the upper. What we've seen, and what I found out as I look more at what's going on in the Hudson River watershed now, is very different than when we did that little pilgrimage 20 years ago, because the people are involved. There are groups all along the Hudson River. We belong to, we belong to an organization called ROAR, Religious Organizations Along the River, but we are just one of many. There is such a devotion to that river and to cleaning it, making it better, and stopping anything that would further threaten it, like 43 oil barges. And so, as you may or may not know, but most of you know that at least temporarily, the Coast Guard has suspended moving into giving parking space to 43 oil barges. They're saying, and this is very interesting to me, they're saying, you know, we really have to look on what would be the effect to the river. And I'm saying, now you're asking that? Now you're saying what is a little backwards? But the people know now. The people know. And I want you to know that with what we're doing in Water Spirit, which is just a piece, and with many other groups, okay? I know the ones that are down in the shore area. There is a rise in the people, and there is the hope. There is the hope. And the more the threat grows, and in many ways it's growing, the more the threat grows, the greater commitment starts emerging from so many people. So there is hope. There is hope. It is complicated, and there are forces against us, and we know that. But there are a lot of people who are in places like you're in right now, okay, standing around talking about how we're going to make it different, whether it's pipelines, whether it's barges, whether it's rivers that are contaminated. There is hope. There is hope, and things are happening. So thank you very, very much for, I grew up in northern New Jersey. I spent many years in Bergen County, and I'm just thrilled to see you all here, and so happy that we're working together. So thank you.
Hop right into it.
Anyway, in the Hudson River, I just want to say one of my first environmental battles was when I was 10 years old, and Pete Seeger called my dad and got me and a bunch of my friends from Camp Midvale to go out in front of Robert Moses's offices over by the Triborough Bridge with signs that say "Don't blow up our mountain." And that was the battle over Storm King Mountain back in the 60s. I also, I also want to say that that was the birth of the modern movement, and the reason that he started his grassroots network because many of the more staid groups along the Hudson River didn't want to have anything to do with him because of his politics. And I'll tell you who those groups are later, but I won't say it now. And the reason I say that is because this river back then was a sewer. Storm King was the first battle, and I'll have to say one of the reasons I'm very proud of the Sierra Club, in 1972, the Sierra Club won a U.S. Supreme Court case, both Sierra Club versus the New York State Power Authority, which saved Storm King Mountain. And so the point I'm making is we've been at it for 125 years. We fought the robber barons and the special interests back then to save Yosemite and to come up with national parks, and we're still doing it today with that fossil fuel in the White House and all those cronies around him from Goldman Sachs and Big Oil and our Secretary of State, Rexon Tillerson, or whatever the hell they call him. T-Rex. But the point I'm making is that we understand the long haul, and the protection of the environment is something that you have to do every day, and it becomes part of your life. You know, one of the reasons I love when I go around New Jersey and do talks is I can also talk about the other major battles we've had. Sierra Club up in Albany fought for years to force the EPA to clean up the PCBs. We spent 2 years fighting to make sure LG stood for lower ground, that they didn't scar this view shed. And now we got the battle over the barges. It always continues, but because we work together and because we fight, we win. It's the only time we ever win.
When we fight, we win.
The Great Swamp was going to be a jet port until a couple of people stood up to the Port Authority. Now it's a wildlife refuge. For some of us, and Betsy Cohn's here, she's one of the old battlers, we fought for 30 years to save Sterling Forest. And when the politicians and the other environmental groups wanted to cut the deal that says we can put half the development on a third of the land and that the public would buy the rock piles, Sierra Club stood up on tables, me and a guy from the New York Sierra Club, and said, no, you can't do this until you take it to the members. And we stood up to every environmental group in New Jersey when we did that. And we stood up to Governor Whitten. And because we did that, instead of it being a city of 35,000 people or a city of 20,000, it's now a 22,000 acre state park. So you have to understand why commitment and standing up for your principles matters. And it matters more now than any other time, because we have a White House that is so in bed with the coal and oil industries and the gas industries that all we are doing is fighting, but we're winning those battles. You know, we won a lawsuit against the Christie administration on the South Jersey gas pipeline when they tried to approve it illegally. They remanded it back. We're going back to court to stop them again. The same thing on the New Jersey natural gas pipeline. We got Christie's DEP to kick out the permits from the Penn East pipeline. And it goes on and on. We're in court nationally to stop drilling off the coast of New Jersey because the Sierra Club believes the only oil we'll ever see on the beach is suntan oil. And we also want to make sure we kick Governor Christie off the beach and maybe somewhere else permanently. The point is, working together, we win. We have this threat of these oil bomb trains, and every day we are playing Russian roulette with our communities. Just like what happened in Quebec. We should never allow the sacrifice of human beings for greed and profit of the oil companies.
That's right.
Because those tanker cars that explode were never designed for Bakken crude. They were designed for corn oil. That's not a joke. That's what they were originally designed for, the 110s. Sierra Club is in court against the Federal Transportation Administration to try to get those removed because we know that they're unsafe at every speed. And we need to keep fighting, we need to keep protesting. We also need to make sure that we understand that we have to do a multi-level strategy. It's not just going out to a meeting or a protest. It's not just going down to lobby days. It's not just going to the media. It's not just going to court. It's not just going to governmental agencies. It's all of the above. That's how you win. We have stopped pipelines in New York State and New England and out in the Pacific Northwest when they said they couldn't be done. It got done because people developed a strategy of engaging the grassroots and engaging our citizens to put pressure on our government, to build those networks and go to court when we have to hold government accountable. That's the way you defeat the tweets. Is all of us together against that guy who keeps tweeting out everything.
Defeat the tweet!
And that's why I'm so glad to be here, because the Hudson River was America's highway. The Hudson River is considered one of those beautiful rivers in the world. It used to have sturgeon so great they used to export it to Russia. We're taking our river back, we're taking our communities back, and we're taking our future back by keeping it in the ground and fighting all the dirty infrastructure for fossil fuels and moving to a 100% clean energy economy. We can do it here in New Jersey, we can do it around the world. It's called, we're going to build a green wall around New Jersey to keep Trump and his henchmen out when it comes to the environment. Yes. We're going to pass legislation in New Jersey to make sure that the Trump administration keeps their hands off of our environment. And we're going to hold New Jersey's officials accountable to make sure that they follow through with that we will be 100% renewable, that we will stop these pipelines, and that we will move this country and our state forward. That's the way the public has always won, and it's the way we're going to win again. Standing together and fighting on all levels. Thank you very much. We're going to make our planet great again.
It's a sad memory, but we must also remember the dark force that fell upon that town. Its name is Bakken Crude.
They can't hear you back in here. You got to touch the mic. Touch it here.
It comes creeping through pipelines, just feet underground, or barging down rivers. It makes not a sound. It careens past our homes on tracks made of steel. Its pent-up fury looming only too real. It can poison our water, blast night into day, turn all into ashes if it has its way. Some believe that it's safe, or that's what they're told. They should ask the 47 who will never grow old. Mark McGandick's a lesson we just can't ignore. Bakken Crude is a monster we don't want anymore. So today, let's stand up. Let's sing to the skies. Let's let the whole world know that we're on the rise. We can vote, run for office, write letters, call on our cell, march and join protests, make our case known real well. We rally here today for our safety and our rights. Until Bakken Crude stops, we will carry on this fight. Are you ready to fight?
All me boys, it's at the Bakken Crude train, right on track by my house. Danger in my house and parakeet. I got a tweet I can't afford. Stored explosive crude that rolls there. It isn't fair, and it don't seem to care. Yeah, the leaves sun wants to go back. Yes, it is where they drill. Our neighborhood is burned to black, and there's a spill. trains a week, really up the creek. Railman empty fireways, that's what we see. Not waiting till the blows that it made it so good. Working in the back of my anger muscles like it. Woo, 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 snickle, neighborhood, that's great. There's gonna be a little party at the station. Women making our cake. This train is stuck to this way. Women in your face, we're gonna cry. Tell the CSX folks they can't roam over our reservoir. Gonna send them on home. Across the reservoir, our water source is pure and clean, but the oil ain't spilled so far. Well, I'm stuck with fracking oil trains that oil can really blaze, and I miss days, but that train keeps rolling right through our waterways. You know, when I was just a baby, my mama told me, dude, always keep a clean train, don't load it up with crude, but this oil train's a casino. They're gambling with our lives. Feels like I maybe rusty knives. When I hear that whistle blowing, I raise my fist and cry. Well, I bet there's rich folks cheating us with volatile bomb planes, blowing up communities for ill-gotten gains. Well, as long as they keep coming, I know I can't be free. Anybody agree? Yeah! But those bomb trains keep moving, and that's what tortures me. Well, when the people have arisen, will the railroad hear our yell? Or will they snap out of it, break that hydrocarbon spell, convert to safer sources, outgrow this crude oil scene? I think you know when I say scene, I mean our scene for the planet and the people. Hold on. You know it's time to go green. Hold on. Let's get Paula over here. Paula, come join me.
Hey, I'm about to run out of juice on this thing, okay? Just so you know.
We have a juice problem. They don't have any juice.
Oh, no.
Freight train, roll down your line. Back in oil so dangerous. We know.
We don't need. Hey, we got these guys.
Say it with
Sorry,
us.
we got to kill this system, right?
Yeah, come on, let's
We're gonna
Who says we're going to kill the system?
Let's all sing it together.
Let's get the solidarity, guys. We got to
give you the guitar for freight train.
Come on, we got real vocals.
Now put it in C. This is unprecedented, an actual instrument.
Yeah. All right.
Guitars! With the solidarity singers and players. Let them sing, Tom. We got to get them. Well, let's go around once, then we'll get there. Do your part.
Freight train, going by. Don't mind your back in oil, we'll tell you why. Back in oil is a dangerous load. We know it might explode.
Instead of bringing it back around, just leave it in the ground. What did we say? Just leave it in the ground. Just leave it in the ground.
And while you're up here, why don't you continue?
That's not working at all.
Yeah. Thank you, David. Solidarity singers. They're great.
Are we singing now? Yes.
We are on.
Oh, you should stay here. Okay. In front of this. These are no good. They're just between us and the audience. Move it all back. So there's
You're going to be my music stand, Kathy? All right.
Go move those back so that you can take the line a little back so Tom can face the audience. Okay? We are the Solidarity Singers of the New Jersey Industrial Union Council. Pleasure to be with us. And our attitude is you're all Solidarity Singers because we want you to sing with us. We're going to do a song called Do It Now, to the tune of Bella Ciao. But it has some words that you can all pick up and sing with us because they keep coming around every time. One is do it now, now, now. And then we're going to build, we need to build a better future. And we need to start right now. Okay? You know, we sing the whole song twice. We need to wake up. We need to rise up. We need to open our eyes and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future. And we need to start right now. We're on a planet that has a problem. We've got to solve it, get involved and do it now, now, now. We got to build a better future. And we need to start right now. Make it greener, make it cleaner, make it last, make it fast. To do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future. And we need to start right now. You're getting it. No point in waiting or hesitating. We must get wise, no more lies. Do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future. And we need to start right now. We need to wake up. We need to rise up. We need to open our eyes and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future. And we need to start right now. We're on a planet that has a problem. We've got to solve it, get involved and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future. And we need to start right now. Make it greener, make it cleaner, make it last, make it fast. Do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future. And we need to start right now. No point in waiting or hesitating. We must get wise, no more lies. Do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future. And we need to start right now. I think you'll be able to catch on to this one pretty quickly too. And it goes slower, so it's easier to sing. But it has more different words. Soon and very soon, we're going to change the world. It'll last forever and ever. We're going to change the world. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. Soon USA. Soon and very soon, fossil fuels will be passé. We'll be gone forever and ever. We're going to change the world.
No more exploding trains, no gas pipelines through our town. They'll be gone forever and ever. We're going to change the world. No
more exploding trains, no gas pipelines through our town. No more exploding trains, no gas pipelines through our town. No exploding trains, no gas pipelines through our town. We'll be gone forever and ever. We're going to change the world.
Soon and very soon, clean energy will lead the way. It'll last forever and ever.
Soon and very soon, clean energy will lead the way. Soon and very soon, clean energy will lead the way. Soon and very soon, clean energy will lead the way. It'll last forever and ever. We're going to change the world.
Soon and very soon, solar and wind will rule the day.
Soon and very soon, solar and wind will rule the day. Soon and very soon, solar and wind will rule the day. Soon and very soon, solar and wind will rule the day. It will last forever and ever. We're going to change the world.
Here's one you can sing with a lot of heart. Soon and very soon, we will dump Donald Trump. He'll be gone forever and ever. We're going to change the world.
Soon and very soon, we will dump Donald Trump.
Come on!
Soon and very soon, we will dump Donald Trump. Soon and very soon, we will dump Donald Trump. He'll be gone forever and ever. We're going to change the world.
First, we're going to change the world.
Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. We'll last forever and ever. We're going to change the world.
Keep that line.
We'll last forever and ever. We're going to change the world.
Thank you very much. I think we'll be back to close the program, but we're done for now.
All right.
Okay, we have a very, we're fighting for renewable energy, and some people think we have to get the feds to change the policy first. But no, we don't have to wait for the feds. We have to start locally.
That's right.
And we have a hero of that local fight. A hero. She is spectacular. She is Amanda, let me make sure I say your name right. I don't want to do it wrong.
Amanda Neshawat.
Neshawat, that's what I was going to say. And Amanda Neshawat is the Environmental Director in Secaucus, graduate of Ramapo College, Sustainability Program. She is awesome, and she is the greatest example that I know of the person who's fighting the global fight and starting locally. So, yay, Amanda.
I'm really excited to be here to represent Mayor Michael Ganelli and Town Council. Last month, Mayor Ganelli happily signed on to a listserv with over 250 mayors across the country to commit to upholding the Paris Agreement. And this month, excited. And this month, he actually happily signed on to a challenge that we were posed by Food and Water Watch to go 100% renewable energy by 2035. We are not wasting a single minute to reach this goal. We have several different projects that we put in place that I would like to share with you all, because I think that they're very replicable and scalable in communities of small to cities of larger, and it's something that could happen across towns in the state of New Jersey. And by the way, just for some background, right after Hurricane Sandy, our town council and mayor and residents, we thought it was really important to take action, and not just because we experienced a lot of flooding issues and we put stormwater infrastructure in and green infrastructure in to protect our homes and our community, but we wanted to do everything that we possibly could to stop using fossil fuels, basically, and stop contributing to climate change. So here are some of the projects, if you don't mind, that I'd like to share with you guys.
Yes. Tell us, Amanda.
Okay, so right now we have a solar panel project going on. We have solar panels on our town hall, our middle school, high school, one of our elementary schools, and half of our DPW garage. And we're trying to reach out to other communities to let them know that municipalities can actually do this with little or no cost to taxpayers. There's lots of different incentives that municipalities can take advantage of. One is called the Power Purchase Agreement, which I can talk about later on if you'd like me to. It gets kind of technical, but I would love to help you and your community do that if you're interested. So we're trying to diversify our energy grid to create more energy resilience. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to use solar panels and hopefully maybe next wind in the Meadowlands. So one of the things we're also trying to do is energy audits. We're doing energy audits currently on all of our municipal buildings to come up with a baseline carbon footprint. We're also doing a fleet inventory to see how carbon intensive our community is, so that we can create a climate action plan that'll get us to 100% renewable energy by 2035. We're also placing electric vehicle charging stations throughout town. We got a grant to do this. Lots of municipalities are eligible to receive this kind of grant from the DEP. We got 4 of them, and we're currently trying to work with developers to put more, and to incentivize it for them, to put more electric charging stations in new developments. This is to incentivize, residents in our town to get electric vehicles and get rid of the range anxiety that currently is happening with buying electric cars. And also because we noticed that we have to increase the infrastructure for EV cars, because that is the future, and more people are buying them in New Jersey, actually, according to the DMV. Okay, so we also take advantage of lots of different state programs that your communities can also take advantage of. Here's just a small one that we did that had a pretty big impact. There's this program called Direct Install, and basically, if your town qualifies, they'll come in and whatever municipal building you want to change your the lighting in to LEDs, they will come in and do that, and you only have to spend or pay for 30% of the installment costs, which is a very minimal cost to the community. Normally, these light bulbs are thousands of dollars. And just from doing this in 4 or 5 buildings, we were able to prevent 60,000 tons of carbon annually from polluting our air and accelerating climate change. We're also looking into this very innovative project called community aggregation. I'm not sure if many of you have heard about that. It's kind of new out there right now. But basically, it's to get residents to reduce your residential carbon footprint. Basically, residents can opt into an energy contract with a third-party energy supplier and get 30, 40, up to 100% renewable energy. So we're looking into that. There's a few other communities that are looking into that. But if that actually happens, it can completely change New Jersey. And I can put you in touch with folks to ask questions if you'd like. And then obviously there are ways that we can reduce our carbon footprint by doing things like increasing our recycling rate. Obviously, it's a lot more carbon intensive to go and collect more materials to make more materials. So we want to recycle as much as possible. Also, there's a lot of different incentives for communities to save hundreds of thousands of dollars if they recycle. Not only from savings, but also from receiving grants, so that's totally worth it for communities. Creating community gardens is something that we're trying to do more of, especially because it kind of reduces the reliance of going to a supermarket and getting veggies and herbs that probably come from another country that have a high carbon footprint. So those are small ways that you can also reduce your carbon footprint in your town. And we'd be happy to share some ways that we've been able to do that. Obviously, reducing your trash and consumption is important. So we're doing a lot of different types of projects, and just want to remind everyone, something that we really know about in Sea Caucus is that the solutions to climate change are the solutions to the many problems that municipalities face, not only in New Jersey, but across the country. The solutions for sustainability and for sustainable communities actually improves our economy, not only in New Jersey, but the rest of the United States of America. It improves health and well-being in New Jersey and in the U.S., and it absolutely can improve the environment. So we have to absolutely stand behind the communities that are willing to do this, stand behind the elected officials and representatives that care about this, because if they actually consider climate change a serious issue and want to help create policy to help communities just like Sea Caucus to go green and go 100% renewable energy, then they're the ones that care about us, they're the ones that care about the future, and they're the ones that will, properly represent us. Thank you.
I want to give a shout out to Danny and Mike, who are workers at Tesla, and they were in the caravan. Where are you, Danny? Danny and Mike over there, Tesla. They're not representing Tesla today. They are employees of Tesla, though, and we welcome you. And also, I want to give a shout out to the Divest NYU group. Would you please stand? Please, they came all the way from NYU. Yay.
All right, so let's start with a little bit of chanting here. We'll get some energy going. All right, I'm going to say, what do we want? You're all going to say climate justice. And then I'm going to say when, and you'll say now. You've probably done this before, so it should be pretty simple. What do we want?
Climate justice!
When?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When?
Now!
Woo! All right, who here is concerned about leaks from oil pipelines?
Hey!
Who here is concerned about oil trains traveling near our water supplies?
Me!
Who here is concerned about the risks of oil barge accidents?
Me!
All right, and here's the last question. I'm a climate guy, so I have to ask this. And so who here is concerned about climate chaos?
Me!
All right, you all are right at the right place. Thank you. All right, so I'm Jerome. I presently serve as the president of 350 New Jersey. We are a statewide grassroots group focused on the climate problem. We are the voice of climate advocacy anywhere we have that opportunity, be it in Washington, D.C., Trenton, New Jersey, Rockland County, New York, or here in Englewood, New Jersey. Thank you all for joining us today for a solemn yet rousing purpose. First, I want to thank the founders of today's event, those being Matt of Food and Water Watch, and Paula, of course, of the Coalition to Ban Unsafe Oil Trains. I also want to recognize all the other co-sponsors of the event, and I want to point out part of their vision, which I think is important to us. They realize that all transport of fossil fuels needs to be challenged. None is better than the others in the long run. The assertion that one transport method is safer or more efficient than the others is a distraction.
That's right.
The assertion that we need still more fossil fuels also is a distraction.
That's right, yeah.
These assertions distract us from wrestling that we need to do to transition away from the pervasive use of fossil fuels. I'll reflect for a moment on the solemn purpose of our gatherings today, the tragic derailment, fire, and loss of life in Lac-Mégantic, Canada. I would designate those who died there as victims of our addiction to fossil fuels. Further, that tragedy compressed into seconds, minutes, and weeks the suffering that climate refugees and storm victims will feel over the years, decades, and generations to come. Let us not be scared into inaction by the looming threats of contrary leadership, climate chaos, and civilizational collapse. We will sustain our hope by acting, and we will act to sustain our hope.
Yes.
Woo! All right, so author and activist Naomi Klein, let's shout out to Naomi, recently released the book No Is Not Enough. To paraphrase her, the future must be somewhere we have never been before. This means we must find the courage to envision a different world, to form a vision which can fuel us as we engage in winnable battles. Our vision is vital to humanity at this time. Let us strive towards our vision. We will maintain hope. We will hold to the vision of a just energy transition. We will model behaviors that innovate, sustain, and respect. We will work and we will fight. What do we want?
Climate justice!
When?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When?
Now!
We're working with a bunch of folks that have been working on closing Indian Point for the last couple of generations. I've been working on fracked gas pipelines for the last 6 or 7 years, and they want to now close Indian Point and convert the Con Edison facility next to it to a giant gas-fired power plant. So, we got to be really vigilant, and we got to be creative about escalating how we're going to make our demands. I heard one of the sisters speaking earlier that you've done pilgrimages. So a bunch of us around New York State are planning to do a pilgrimage in the legislative session of 2018. So I'd love to talk to anybody that's done these like lengthy walks to make demands. But yeah, so I would love to keep in touch with you guys about this. We're just starting to figure out how we're going to sort of infiltrate the Public Service Commission and all these opaque agencies and open them up so we can not have gas or fossil fuels at a decaying Indian Point nuclear power plant where there's going to be, you know, nuclear waste for the next 40,000 years. We don't want to see an explosion there.
We're here to commemorate the tragedy in Lac-Megantic where 47 people died.
Push the button. The button is pushed.
This one.
Yeah, it's pushed. Pretty close.
How's that?
That's better. Yeah, now it works.
We're here to commemorate. We're here to commemorate the loss of 47 lives in Lac-Megantic, Quebec. That's important. It's a terrible tragedy, but what it illustrates is the cost of dirty fuels, the cost of clean water, the cost of cleaning up, the costs we never see, the costs of future generations. And we can go on and on that. What does this mean to New Jersey? In New Jersey, rail, barges, and proposed oil pipelines, all for potential transport of oil to export. We could be the oil transport capital of the United States with risks to our own environment and our water supply. Just visualize trying to get all that oil out of North Dakota, and particularly the tar sands. Big money is there, and they won't get their money back unless they can dig out the oil. Well, I'm a grandfather, and I don't think I like that very much. The Sierra Club of Northern New Jersey, we must fight, and the Sierra Club of Northern New Jersey join forces to fight against unsafe oil and environmental issues. If you have any interest in the environment, then the Sierra Club is a good place to look. We also work closely with the Coalition to Ban Unsafe Oil, Paula's group. The Franciscan Response is a powerful group, small, but sent 10 people here out of their numbers. CAP has been fighting oil pipelines, and Jerome, CAP and others have been fighting oil pipelines. Peg is here. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. 350, of course, with Jerome, 350. This is a time to get involved, to fight back for a future of our planet and our grandchildren. The grandchildren are my motivation. The smallest action, a group of us simply handed out flyers to get people to come. Not very highfalutin, but it feels good. The smallest action is greater than the biggest intention. That's right. I know I sat on my butt for a long time. It feels good not to. And coming here today was a pretty decent action for you. We must increase our activity. We must increase our intensity. We must increase our membership. The alternative is just too bleak. Thank you.
And Food and Water Watch works to protect clean water and healthy, safe, sustainably produced foods for all. And it was really the water issue that got us into the fracking fight. We were the first national organization to call for a ban on the practice of fracking, and we worked in coalition with grassroots groups in New York and Maryland to win bans on fracking in those two states. And we're going to continue working in all levels of government on critical issues, including the climate crisis, which looms heavy in this moment of national failure of national leadership. But I want to challenge us a little bit, just because, you know, it's so comfortable here today. We're all enjoying this beautiful park and standing here by the Hudson River, and there's a nice breeze, and the sun's gone down now, and everything's pretty comfortable. But I want to challenge us on a couple things. First of all, I want us to look around. Look to your left, look to your right. Notice who's here. Maybe notice who isn't here. And I think it's pretty obvious that we're a pretty white-looking group, right? And
Can we say that?
yeah, I mean, I only say this because I think that, and Jerome alluded to this, that I think the essential task of our time is to find a shared progressive agenda, something that we can all get behind, right? And find a way to merge the movements for environmental justice with racial justice, with economic justice, with social justice. And, you know, we have some work to do, clearly, by just looking around at who's present in this space and who isn't. And that's not to cast blame, that's not to feel guilty and go internal and just, like, you know, feel uncomfortable as we're walking out of here. It's just to take a moment and recognize that if we really want to change everything, because that's what we're talking about when we talk about getting off fossil fuels. This is not just about putting up solar panels. This is not just about putting up wind energy. We're talking about restructuring the entire economy, the entire way that we tread on this earth. And in order to change everything, we need everyone.
That's right.
And so we have to find the places where our interests to protect the Hudson River, to protect Bergen County's water supply, to protect the climate that our grandkids depend on. Where do those interests intersect with our neighbors in Paterson, New Jersey? Where do they intersect with the kids in Newark, New Jersey, who might not even know or care what climate change is, but they damn sure as well know that when they wake up and leave their house, that the air they breathe is poison and makes them sick. And so what are those places that we can align our movements and find each other in this moment of really political, economic, and ecological crises that are all intersecting in this moment? And it's a crisis, you know, most of us think of crisis as an inherently bad thing, right? A crisis is something we must stop, but actually if you look at the root word of crisis, it means tipping point. It means the point in which something is either going to fall left or fall right, or get better or get worse. And I would suggest that it's our job to push in this moment to get us to that better place. And so that's most everything that I wanted to say. I could probably repeat what others have said, because these issues are so important, and they do take an entire lifetime just to work in fighting for environmental justice, or just to work in stopping and fighting pipelines. But I wanted to take this moment to recognize that as we're fighting these pipelines, and as we're working to stop these oil trains, and as we're working to embolden our leaders to support the transition, a just transition to 100% renewables, if we can take a moment in that work every day to think about how those causes and how those interests intersect with the interests of the hundreds of millions and billions of people throughout the world who are also suffering under this failing economic political system, then that is the way forward, at least in my eyes. So thank you all for the opportunity to be here, and yeah, let's do this.
If you want to know whether that's a barge carrying oil, probably back in crude oil, from Albany to Bayway Refinery, and then coming back with refined oil, or just going out to other countries for export, there's a lot of pipage, a lot of pipe stuff for extracting the oil from the barges or inserting the oil into the barges. You'll see these barges all up and down, south of the George Washington, north of the George Washington Bridge, and the attempt to put more anchorage spots up past Yonkers. This is a very big fight. New York folks have been leading the way. We have to join that struggle, and we are.
Hello, we're going to do Woody's great tune, This Land Is Your Land, except we're going to sing From California to the Jersey Pinelands.
All right.
With all respect to the New York Island over there. But we don't get quite that far east, I guess.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the Jersey Pinelands, from the Englewood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and followed my footsteps from sparkling sands of where diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the Jersey Pinelands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. In the square of the city, in the shadow of the steeple, by the welfare office, I see my people. As they stood there hungry, I stood there asking if this land was made for you and me. Well, we know it was. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the Jersey Pinelands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on that sign it said, no trespassing. But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That sign was made for you and me. Check it out now. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the Jersey Pinelands, redwood forest, to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the Jersey Pinelands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
Now here's the new verse we're going to try for our first time, so we hope you'll bear with us. When
Our democracy becomes plutocracy, laced with theocracy, drenched in hypocrisy, when rich man's dollars drown out our horrors. We'll take back this land for you and me. Check it out now. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the Jersey Pinelands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we're going to take it back.
Thank you to the New York Labor Force for that.
Oh, yeah.
Our last song, one of Paul's special favorites, Rainbow Race. Probably, in my opinion, is the best song Pete Seeger ever wrote. Sums it all up. line out the words for you to sing it. We'll sing the chorus once, and then I'll line it out, and then you'll catch on right.
One blue sky above us, one ocean laughing on our shore, one earth so green and brown, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give this one more try to show my rainbow. One blue sky above us, one ocean laughing on our shore, one earth so green and round, one earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow rays. It's too soon to die. Some people live like an ostrich, bury their heads in the sand. Some hope that plastic dreams can unquench hope again. Some people want to take the easy way. Poison the bombs, they think we need them. Don't they know they can't kill all the unbelieving? There's no shortcut to freedom. There's just one blue sky above us. One blue sky above us. One ocean laughing on our shore. One earth so green and round. One earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? And because I love you, and because I love you, I'll give it one more try. Show my rainbow race. To show my rainbow race. It's too soon to die. Go tell all the little children. Tell all the mothers and fathers too. Now they're our chance to learn to share what's been given to me and you. That's one blue sky above us. One blue sky above us. One ocean laughing on our shore. One earth so green and round. One earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more time. I'll give it one more try. To show my rainbow race. It's too soon to die. And because we love you, we'll give it one more try. To show our rainbow race. It's too soon to die.
Thank you very much. I believe it's going to be a water ceremony.
We've been circulating a pledge. It's a pledge to get off fossil fuels. It's for elected officials at all levels of government, starting from the local town council all the way up to the county, state, and federal level, because we know that we're going to need to build political will at all levels of government to take on this crisis. And I wanted to make an announcement that in addition to Mayor Ganelli and Mayor Dunleavy of Secaucus and Bloomingdale, that State Senator Loretta Weinberg, who represents this part of Bergen County, just signed on to the pledge this week. That's major movement in this fight to get New Jersey to be a leader and sign legislation to get us to 100% renewables. So we're really excited about that news. If anyone wants to help on this effort, whether it's getting your own council people to sign the pledge, whether it's getting your state legislator or federal legislator, you could take out your phone and you could text the word revolution to the number 69866. So that's, again, take out your phone, text to the number 69866, and you're going to send the word revolution, because what we need is a clean energy revolution. And with your help and everyone working on this, we can get there. So thank you again for that delayed announcement.
Oh, 69866. And then the word revolution. 69866.
She didn't expect to be recognized, but she must be recognized. If you all saw the flyer for this demonstration, the beautiful flyer, the front and the back, the caravan guide. Carrie, please, I know you're embarrassed, you don't want to come up here, but we're going to recognize you standing right there. Carrie Wilson. Carrie Wilson, thank you. And there are a lot of people here who worked in so many ways, handing out leaflets, sending out mailings, calling people, so much work. And thank you to everyone. To be continued. We're going to come over here, and I don't know, all I can think of is the song Imagine. When I look at those barges, imagine, it scares me. So we really have to step up this fight. We really have to step up this fight against the oil trains, the barges, and the pipelines. And so we'll meet over here by the water. And Sister Suzanne Golas is here somewhere, right here. And she's going to lead the water ceremony. Oh yeah, and please leave your flag unless you absolutely want it, and we'll use it. Please leave them with Susan, or at the with Carrie, I mean, right here, or at the table. And if everybody would come together.
Okay, this will be very brief. You know, it's the new order comes out of chaos. Thus it has always been in the universe, thus it has always been on our planet. So here's a case where we're getting in touch with the chaos, but finding hope. I'm going to make this very brief. First of all, just a moment of quiet that helps us get through the chaos and make the most of it. And what I would invite you to do, I know this, I've lived here for years. Okay, what I would ask you to do is just think in the quiet, just think of one thing that you want to take away from this day. Maybe one thing that you learned, you didn't know, something specific, or maybe something you felt that was important, you think. Let's just, for a moment, get in touch with that one thing. It's the geologian Thomas Berry who has said, and it's been repeated many times, that the waters of the earth are the arteries, the arterial system. We separate them. We talk about the Hudson River, we talk about the Mississippi River, we talk about the Delaware River, but the reality is it is one living system, which I think we heard in the songs. I see you shaking your head. I think we heard in some of the presentations. This is one system of which we are a part. So I would invite you, those of you who still have water left, okay, I would invite you to take your water and to pour some of it into either one of these. There's 2 bowls of water.
kind of remembering that it's all connected, just like we are all connected, not just with one another, but with everything that exists. It's an interconnectedness. What we will do with the water is we will then bring it to the Hudson River that we are all connected with. So if you have water, I don't know how many of you have water left, but if you do, otherwise if you just want to put your hand through the water and maybe have an intention as you do that, to somehow or other go away from this day different but connected. I invite anyone who wants to start.
I would take it from here. But I don't do that no more.
You don't do no.
It wouldn't be very nice, would it?
No, I know you wouldn't. I can tell.
These bottles here that Megan and I brought are from Bud Lake. It's the largest all-natural, like non-man-made freshwater lake in New Jersey. It's in Morris County. So we wanted to bring some of the energy from the lakes into the rivers and just kind of like unify this whole concept and show that, you know, water is life and our ecosystems are all one, and you know, it's all the same aquifers, all the same water, and all the same ecosystem, and we need to remember that, and all just remember that all over New Jersey and all over this region, you know, all the water flows together, and you know, water is life, and we're all one in this ecology.
Thank you, everybody. I was glad that so many of you have water. And again, your hands are good too, just to connect with it. It was great being with you. It was great having you here. Hosting this was wonderful. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you very much. We'll see everybody in the near future. There are lots of marches and demonstrations and meetings ahead.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.